What's going on, guys? I'm blessed to be bringing on right now current FSU basketball player Justin Linder. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty well, man. But anyways, I guess you kind of hop right to the interview. So I guess we'll kind of start off with, I guess you say a little bit of a lighter topic. I was checking some of your Instagram highlights, and I see you got some interesting pregame fits, mostly basketball jerseys. I think you had like one sweater in there, like one football jersey. But what's the thing with the jersey? Is that like almost a superstition kind of thing, or why are you always wearing a jersey like pregame?
Yeah, so about 2 or 3 years ago, I started wearing jerseys every game day, just kind of getting the basketball mood a little bit, I guess. But this year, I kind of went away from it a little bit because I've been kind of recycling through. I like to wear a different jersey every single game. So since I've been wearing it for like 2 3 years now, it kind of has been like recycling some of the same jerseys. So I didn't wear it as much this year, but I love wearing lots of jerseys. And some of my favorites that I have are Jason Williams and John Stockton because they're two of the elite point guards that I pride myself after.
hmm when you get those jerseys, are you like? Because I'm kind of curious, are you getting like the legit ones? Are you getting like a replica? Is it sometimes you get it from like the random Chinese website? Like how do you get all the jerseys?
Yeah, back in the day, I used to order them off of AliExpress, but it kind of went down. So some of them, if they're real, usually I'll ask for them for like a present or a gift from my parents in college. But other than that, I just try to get it where it looks best. If it like kind of looks like it's not very good, then I don't want to have that. But as long as it looks somewhat decent, I don't care if it's replica or if it's just anything really.
Well, I was considering because I kind of wanted to buy basketball jerseys from whatever school I go to, but I looked because I feel like the jerseys you guys play in compared to the ones they sell are like a little different. Like I almost like how the game jerseys have like those. It's like kind of I guess mesh in a way. They have those like holes in them,
hmm
and the other ones don't. What's your opinion on like the replica FSU jerseys?
They're definitely not as good, but I feel like they're pretty cool, and they also have they're selling the blue one now, so that's
Mhm,
pretty
yeah,
cool
yeah,
too.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Definitely they're not as good as the regular ones, but they definitely do for especially for college students. But people that are bigger fans of basketball, they might be a little more picky with it. You might not like it as much.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the thing for me is like I'm not really a big like I would say I do push-ups every day, but I don't really hit the gym as often. So
Mm.
for me to wear a shirt that's like isn't like a normal t-shirt, say it's kind of like a rare circumstance. But I guess maybe in Tallahassee it's a little colder, kind of put the jersey over jacket or something, look kind of cool with that. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. Another thing with your highlights, I thought was cool is I actually watched all these. I thought it was really cool was you did a bunch of like videos of all the different like arenas you've gone to. So I guess first things first, like what was that like for you? Coming from a normal high school. I mean, actually now your high school arena is actually pretty nice, but before I'm assuming just kind of average. Like, what was it like all of a sudden, your freshman year, and you're in all these like big arenas? How was that experience?
Yeah, it was super, super, super cool. It was a shocking experience. As I got later in my career, I didn't appreciate as much, but definitely like early on in my career, I was really appreciating that. When I walk in the gyms, I'll always, get a cool video and such. I'd say some of my favorite arenas that we visited were I liked North Carolina a lot because it's so big and there's so many historic things about it. And Duke, of course, both of them were really cool. But at the same time, I like some the other arenas too because all the other arenas, they have their own unique features about them too. And when you go there to the games, each arena has like a little bit of unique things. Like we're in warm-ups at Wake Forest, they like have like a biker dude that starts revving up the engines. Miami has their own celebrations, all types of stuff like that. But all the ACC arenas were really unique and cool, and you'd be surprised that some of them are just as good as those Duke and UNC ones that when you show up too.
I'm curious with the Duke one because I kind of realized this like a year or two ago. Like that arena is actually like kind of small. Like it's really not that big at all. Like is it more just cool because like it's more historic or does it feel like it's kind of big? Because I was thinking about like it actually looks like really really small.
Yeah, it's not big at all. It kind of reminds me of my high school gym because we had when we first were in high school, I had a really small gym, and we prided ourselves on packing it out every time. So it was sold out every time. It was small, but it was sold out every time. So it was super cool. And I kind of feel like that's the same with Duke. It's kind of so historic they don't want to tear it down and make a new one, and they know they're going to pack it out every time, so it ends up being pretty good.
Yeah, and a thing with the arenas, I guess with being in the ACC, obviously schools like Duke, North Carolina, I guess maybe Syracuse occasionally, they draw pretty good crowds. At least Virginia as well. Your freshman year, you're coming in. Would you say kind of being in that CBHS environment where it was always packed, that really help you? And being in a big arena filled with packed fans, it almost kind of feel the same as when you were in a high school gym when it was packed.
Yeah, it feels a lot like it's a little the noise level is a little higher, and personally for me, if I'm on the bench and I know I'm probably not going to play, it doesn't really get into my head or anything. I'm more focused on talking to our new guys, talking to the people that are coming off the bench about getting their mind right and being in the right mindset when they go in the game because so many times players are coming out of high school and they're used to watching these teams online, and so they catch themselves looking up in the rafters and kind of being in like an awe moment. So I kind of try to get them in the game time mode because myself, I'm always in that game mode. I'm ready to go crazy on the bench, and if I this year, especially if my number is called, I was always ready. So um, really, it doesn't really bother me too much. All it takes is like a couple trips up and down the court, and you start feeling comfortable for me. And I think that's what I was trying to like put in our players' brains as well, and focus on them more than me.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I feel like a player that is probably on the bench more. I feel like would be a little more in awe compared to the stars. I feel like it's kind of cool how you got to be the one that has to act like you've been there, done that, or whatever. Have to keep the guys in check. I think it's actually kind of like a cool perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, once you get here, you'll start to feel like you're part of the culture, especially like the one cool thing about FSU is like the lowest manager all the way to the highest person up, they are all about treating everyone with respect and equality. So that's one thing that was really good about me. Ever since I've been in, I've been able to call out the best players and let them know certain things even in bad situations. So it's been a cool thing, and it hasn't it's super cool, and you'll like it here a lot because of that. So that's a cool, unique aspect of the program, and it's unlike a lot of different other programs.
Mhm. And bringing it back to kind of when you were saying like the crowds don't really affect you, I guess you could say as much. But I'm curious. I've had plenty of experience being on the bench, and when I'm in a hostile environment, I get a little into it. I would say I'm not as much encouraging the teammates, more like wanting to beat the other team. Like there was one instance where I know, like I thought you're allowed to kind of go on the court when a team calls a timeout. I guess maybe for me being a manager, I'm not. And we got a jump ball, call a timeout, playoff game, and I kind of run maybe a little too far. And the gym only had one side of seats, and I was like, "Yeah, let's go!" Like talking to all the parents from other school, and got a little bit in trouble, but like it was all good, nothing too bad. But I feel like sometimes those environments kind of make me almost like a little more invested, maybe a little more. I guess not. I don't want to say trap, like a little more. Nah, I don't know, like there's a little more into it, a little
A
more
little bit more,
antsy, I guess. So
a little extra juice.
yeah. So does that ever kind of happen to you too, where sometimes if you're at Duke or something like that, you're just like it's a little bit more engaged because of the fans?
Yeah, definitely. One of my big things is I love to scream and flex and talk trash to even players on the other team on the court. So sometimes fans they try to make eye contact with me, and they start like kind of trying to get into it, and that gets me going even more. So I really like that a lot. And then I was trying to think. I think I had one other thing to say. Oh yeah, you talked about how you kind of went onto the court a little bit that one time.
Mhm.
Uh, all the media timeouts, which is every 4 minutes in AC basketball, there's a stoppage in play. So I try to
Yeah.
anticipate them so I can be the first one out on the court and dap everyone up and get everyone hyped. And one time I thought it was the media, so I started going on the court real quick, and it wasn't the media, and the refs like, hey, what the hell are you doing? So he like sent me off, and I thought that was pretty funny because I went on, but then I got off real quick too, and I like hid behind so they wouldn't say anything or I wouldn't get any texts or anything like that. But yeah, I feel you on that one. I jumped out before the media, and it was just a stoppage in play, so it was funny.
Yeah, that's definitely. I can see myself doing something similar to that. But I'm curious. Like for me, I consider myself a decently nice guy. Like I wouldn't want to get in a fight with anybody off the court. Like in game, people can make me mad. Like I think the one place where I think I could, like I'm telling you, if you and me were in a basketball game you're driving me nuts. Like I think I could completely knock you out. I have that mentality when I'm in game mode. But outside of it, say I'm a very nice guy, kind of soft, I guess you could say. But would you say if you were able to meet these fans that maybe you get into some things with, would you be the same way, or would you be like much nicer, like yo, like it's awesome meeting you and whatever?
Uh, it really just depends on the interaction that I have with them, but I'd say for the most part, I try to keep it pretty surface level. I don't want to start no fights or anything like that, and I don't want to kill my reputation or anything like that. But I think that's a huge part of the game is having that healthy relationship where you can talk trash and get hyped during the game, but then after the game, know that it's basketball and everyone loves basketball. So basketball kind of brings people together, and that's something that I really pride myself on. I don't want to get in too much fights like that, but I got to use my trash talk as a little bit something something. So I wouldn't get physical or anything like that, but I wouldn't necessarily, become friends with them just because of a game. Because especially if we lose, I'm looking forward to that next time we play.
Mhm. And going to FSU, you committed as a walk on, right?
No, actually, I was just knowing I started visiting schools like you, and I was
Mhm.
thinking about Florida and Florida State the same as you, and I decided to go with Florida State because I went and visited campus, and it was amazing. And once I visited campus, I got on campus, and our coach, Stan Jones, is from Memphis, so I was able to get in contact with my coach, and I was able to set up a walk-on tryout. So there was four of us: me, Harrison Prieto, who made the team, and then a couple other people. So we had one day of individual tryouts, and then a team tryout where we played some of the graduate assistants and players a little bit. And after that, a couple days later, we got added to the roster, and we're practice players for a year. That got to travel everywhere. And then after that, we got like basically added to the team. And even though we were added to the team our freshman year, we didn't really like have a jersey or a jersey number and you could dress out, but we still got to practice and be a part of everything and travel everywhere. So that's how I got added to the team.
So is a walk on like not like, are you not considered a walk on? Like is that not the same as being like a part of the team, or like,
Well,
how's that?
I am a walk on.
Okay,
I was
okay.
just kind of specifying like
Oh
my
yeah, yeah.
first,
All
yeah, I was kind of trying out. So like they were kind of like just seeing if we were like, fit for the program before they like kind of gave us a jersey and added us to the team.
right. Yeah, so, I was with that, like, I feel like being a walk-on, in my opinion, if I was as good as you, like, I would love to be a walk-on. I mean, everything you do is basically, like, my favorite parts of being a part of the team and being a manager and all that stuff is kinda being, the guy to bring the energy and cheer on the bench. I'm, like, the only guy that really cheer if I was on the bench, my bench would have been dead, all my time in high school. Like, I kinda love being that energy guy, but I feel like there's a lot of people where they think walk-on, they think that's, like, the worst experience ever. I mean, why would you say it's like, an actual like good experience? Because I think like if I was a walk-on man, like I'm sure you're having a great life right now, being able to get all the luxuries of being with the team and also being able, I feel like, have a lot of fun too. So why would you say being a walk-on is actually like a good thing?
Really, being a walk on here is one of the best experiences because they treat you just like you're a normal player, and they give you all the benefits of all regular players. So like, it's not really like you're a walk on. The only real difference is probably your parents are probably having to pay your tuition rather than the coaches. But other than that, we get the same benefits, and we're on the team. We get to so really, honestly, it's just like being a scholarship player, but you're just having to, front that money for college. But, especially, I don't know. The reason I say that it might be different at other schools is because I've talked to other walk ons before, though, and they have had like a different experience. So, other walk ons that I've talked to have said maybe like the coaches don't treat them very well, they don't let them practice, stuff like that. Our coaches, they let all the walk ons get into the drills and practice. They, give us responsibility. They give us accountability partners so we can call out like some of the bigger players. So it's basically like I don't know if it's the same at every college. I know it's different at some colleges because I've talked to some walk-ons that said it was much different experience. But for us, we have so much responsibility and we're given so much freedom to do what we want to do that it's really the best experience I could possibly ask for, and probably the best 5 6 years of my life.
Yeah, I feel like the reason for me that you say is either like you might get like offended by this, which is a good thing, but for me, I think if someone told me I'm gonna be on the basketball team, we'll never have to worry about playing a minute and none of that pressure, I'd be like, oh, like I'm set because I think it's almost like being able to say I'm on the team, but not having to like risk, embarrassing yourself or do anything like that, like getting yelled at as much. Like I think it's almost like a big benefit too, where you could almost have I almost want to say a little more fun with the game and just really just enjoy the experience.
Yeah, definitely. You don't have that pressure on your back of, having fans wanting to come at you if you don't have a good game or anything like that. So that's really nice. And really, honestly, during games, you don't have a whole lot of stress either. You're more just worried about hyping up your team and, getting your team in the right mindset. But at the end of the day, you want to have that same mindset. But as me, as a hooper, as a person that has always prided myself on winning, I always have that mindset in the back of my head that I'm always ready to play, and I want to play if I get the chance to.
Mhm. Yeah, but
At the
I
same
guess too
time.
at the same time, like wanting to be a winner. I mean, doing what you do, build like bringing energy, like that's helping your team win. It's not like you're just messing around. It's just like fun for you, and if you weren't there, wouldn't matter. Like what you're doing is almost like you're contributing to the team, like just as much as the players are. So it's kind of like either if you're staying ready or all yours kind of just bringing energy. They both really like contribute a lot to winning a basketball game.
Most definitely.
Yeah, and I know this walk-on team, it seems like you guys are, I guess you could say, pretty tight. I actually saw a little article that I guess you guys are called like the Green Vipers or whatever. I
Mhm.
mean, just maybe kind of touch that a little more. Just like how special is this walk-on program? Because I feel like the walk-on guys at FSU, it's almost like a whole little gang, I guess.
Yeah, so the year that we got added to the roster, they wanted to start like a scout team because in years past they had like managers, graduate assistants, anyone they could get to run the scout team, and they really wanted to focus on having a good scout team that would kind of be set apart to that was their only responsibility, where they were going to be learning the other team's plays and having accountability partners where I can go to a certain player like a point guard because I'm a point guard in the game, tell them what they're doing good, what they're doing bad, things like that. Those are responsibilities that were put on us since we were freshmen, and we were kind of given the freedom to blossom from there and have more responsibility and kind of have the freedom to butt into certain things when we need to and kind of be an extension of the coaching staff. So that's something we've always prided ourselves on. And also another thing is having red shirt walk-ons every year. They come and join our team, and we work out with them. We help them, become better mentally and physically because, as you know, being a red shirt for a whole year after, being such a high school star, I know that can take a toll mentally. So that's something we, pride ourselves on, keeping people mentally in the right state of mind, and then working out with them and, keeping them active, and then also getting our players ready for practice. So our responsibility isn't just as simple as, learning the other team's plays. We have a lot of other responsibilities that go unnoticed, and we pride ourselves on that stuff, and we love it.
Mhm. And, I guess you kinda mentioned, like, some of prepping some of the redshirt walk-ons in a way, like, again, you did mention that it's almost like you're basically, or like you are on the team, but you do have more roles. You say being a walk-on is almost like a separate sub like, how would you consider it at FSU? Would you say it's basketball team, like, players including walk-ons, and then, GAs and managers and coaches, and that's kinda like 3 divisions, or would you almost say it's, the scholarship players and the walk-ons are almost like their own little subgroup as a part of the big player group? Because obviously, I feel like being a walk-on has, more responsibilities.
Well, our coaches always want us to be, all unified together. So all the players, walk-ons, and scholarship are all one group. And then I would say from there, honestly, the whole program, we try to be one close knit group together, but it's hard to do that because there's different groups, there's different you can't be buddy buddy with the players or the program will end up bad. So I'd say it's mostly the players on their little thing, whether they be walk-ons or scholarship, and then the coaches and the managers are all one staff as well too. So that's how it's broken up. Not really broken up into any cliques or anything like that on our team.
And something you did touch on though was player because walk-ons like are pretty good basketball players. Like you're playing Division 1 basketball, you probably could have been a stud on D2, D3, whatever, but you chose to be a walk-on and get that experience. So obviously you were a star in high school. At least I'm assuming you were. So what is that like? 'Cause you did mention how you kind of have to help some like of the redshirt walk-ons mentally, like dealing with that. What was it like, coming in as a freshman and realizing like, I'm not, the star anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, all my life growing up, I really wasn't the star on my team, particularly. So always had to try to find a role for myself to, put myself, set myself apart from everyone. So it kind of was nothing new to me to come in. And when I was in high school, I was the second leading scorer on my team, and we had a lot of good players. So I was really mainly trying to get everyone going. And one of the things I pride myself in basketball is every year I've been here, besides maybe the years that Trent was here, I always pride myself on being the best passer, and that's something I've definitely had this year, and something I wanted to do in high school as well. So, that the transition from high school all over into college was pretty seamless for me because I just always try to find my role and be the best I can in that role. So it wasn't really like shocking to me, especially because I knew coming in that I wasn't going to have much opportunity or anything. I just wanted to, be on the team. That's all I
Mhm.
wanted, and when I got that, I was happy.
Yeah. So bringing up, I guess, that transition from high school to college. I know, like, I don't know if you listen to the Duncan Robinson's podcast called The Long Shot, but there's a question that they sometimes ask their guests, or he was asked one time. Where it was like, "What was your, like, welcome to the NBA moment?" For Duncan Robinson, his was where he went and tried to box out Udonis Haslem in practice, and Udonis Haslem's absolutely, like, killed him. That was the worst decision he ever made. That was almost like, all right, I'm in the NBA now. I was like his moment. So what was your maybe, like, welcome to college moment for you, where you were like, oh, okay, so like this is what it's gonna be like?
Um, I think really it was kind of shattering for me when every day in practice I had to go against 3 7-footers, and they would all rotate in and out. So like Chris Kamaji, Michael Ojo, and Jarquez, and even there was another big too. They're all big 7-footers. So every time I'm driving to the basket, it's not the same as high school. I had to learn to get play from 6 to 8 feet, and so I'd say my welcome moment was my freshman year when I drove in, and I can just remember Chris Kamaji just smacking my shot off the glass every time I try to come in. And that's when it was kind of a welcome moment where I'm not playing high school basketball no more. I gotta stop from at 6 to 8 feet and try to score from here. Because if I get to that basket, I'm gonna go to the ground, and it's gonna be against the glass and going the other way.
Mhm. Would you say, like, this walk-on group, this question relates to the last one, but would you say, like, this walk-on group is, I mean, you mentioned, like, being an FSU walk-on is, I guess you could say, much better than at some other schools, but would you say the group of walk-ons at this team is, I guess, much closer compared to a lot of other schools? It's almost like you guys are kind of like, a family, like, as well, or would you just say it's not like, it's everyone's kind of the same? Would you say, because it seems like, looking on social media, like, the walk-ons kind of have their own little thing going in terms of, like, I guess, a special connection.
Yeah, most definitely. So, as I mentioned before, me and Harrison came in together. We had that tryout together, and ever since we've been we were kind of like the first coming of that green team. And after that year, we wanted to make sure that we had a good green team every year. So every year, people come in, and we make sure we like send them a long questionnaire so we get to know them of random questions, some of them being like normal basketball questions, and then some of them being basketball, like any type of question, weird questions, anything like that. So we try to get to know them immediately. And usually we make a group chat, and we're all constantly talking about things on and off the court in there. And we really just want that green team to be as close as possible. And because when your lowest people are close knit, then it's more likely to spill over onto your main players as well. So we try to lead by example in that fashion.
Yeah, and you bring up kind of how being a walk on, like, you get to do a lot, I guess, in terms of helping out the players. Like you said, you would have some guys you'd almost have to tell them, like, what they did good, what they did bad, or whatever. And I could see, like, I mean, I guess this isn't a big deal to you, but like getting a follow from an NBA player like Scotty Barnes, where I know a lot of guys, once they kind of get to that league point, they start to make their circle a little smaller. And obviously, Scotty probably did the same. So, I guess, is there anything that you could say maybe I took credit for in anybody's game that's, like, in the NBA now, or in the college players are like, you know what, this guy that's either on FSU right now or is in the NBA is better because, like, I did this for them?
Um, I mean, one way I think I helped a lot of these players improve is playing them one on one a lot. I took a lot of losses, but I definitely helped them out. Devin Vassell and I used to get in the gym late night all the time and play one-on-one with each other. Trent Forrest and I used to, play one-on-one together, shoot together constantly, talk trash with each other. So those are the two main people that I can kind of recall in my head. Scotty, of course, he's a point guard, so I was on him and tried to help him out, but he had a lot of the raw characteristics that he already needed, and so I didn't play him as one-on-one as much. But definitely Devin and Trent, I take a lot of credit for some of their growth in college at least. And Trent, he has his really good 2-foot pop, but I helped him with his float game as well too. He probably wouldn't say the same, but I helped him with that float game. And then some of our other players, mostly I pride myself on helping people with mentality more than anything, because myself being the smallest player on our team, I still have that loudest voice, and I probably got the most confidence too. So that's something I really try to work on with people on a daily basis, is just having that confidence and, mentally knowing the game better.
Mhm. And with that whole mental aspect, like I feel like something you could teach, but I think some people, like, it's just hard to get people to have the same mentality the way. So I'm just curious kind of how you have the confidence that you do. And this might be a weird comparison, but the way I compare this to me in my current drama class, like I think I'm not that good, but like I literally like I'll leave like the show and my mom will go to me like, "Oh, good job." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the best one on that freaking stage." Like I kind of have that. And I know in my head, like I'm not, but at the same time, like having that confidence makes it more fun. I just kind of go out there, have a good time, and I just know I did that, and that makes me happy. That's what makes me confident. So, would you say like what's your basketball confidence? Like, how are you, so confident? Because really, like, you should be the least confident guy.
Yeah, two things. The first is what you said. Definitely, telling yourself is half the battle. Honestly, people who are constantly pouring bad thoughts in their head and saying they're not being confident themselves, they're the people that are going to fail. So the more you pour into yourself, the more you're going to show. So obviously, that's one thing. And then the other thing is, just having all these people, especially early on in my career, having people that are well respected and super good basketball players respect you, and kind of talk to you and have that same basketball appreciation that you do. From a young age, that really gave me a lot of confidence. And some of our coaches on staff, they have a lot of confidence, and them being some of my role models and me wanting to be a college coach one day, I kind of see that confidence in them, and I put it into myself. And then finally, my last shout out has to go to my dad. He taught me how to talk trash, and he taught me the confidence that I have. I've now surpassed him as the best trash talker in the family, but he was definitely the person that got me going with that confidence. He's always been a very confident person, even though he's not always the best looking. But I like that confidence, and it's something that I pride myself on. So I have to give a shout out to my pops for that one.
For sure. So with the talking trash, because I mean, one, you got to be clever to come up with what to say, but also, I mean, talking trash, especially in a basketball game, is like you have to figure out when to say it. Like, there's only very specific moments where you could talk trash, and you got to be subtle about it. How do you deal with that? Because figuring out when to say it is like a whole other part of trash talking.
Yeah, well, being on the bench, it's a lot harder too, because you're not on the court with them, so you're not close by. You can't really sneak in anything. So mostly where I do most of my damage is when the other team is in the corner, and we're near the bench, and I can kind of whisper some little things. Uh, you know, I like to go at people, for especially if they've transferred schools. I always talk about their other school, and then basically, Terquavion Smith, he was killing us this year at home at NC State. And then I kept saying to him over and over, because I didn't really have anything to say, because he kept getting buckets on us. But I kept telling him that he didn't want to win. He just wanted to score buckets and get himself to the next level. But he didn't want to win for his team. And I think that kind of got in his head a little bit, because after that he cooled off a little bit. But at the same time, I couldn't really talk serious trash to him, because he was giving us buckets. But you got to be clever and sly with it. So every day is a new day opportunity for me to talk trash, and I take advantage of it.
My one concern with trash talk, because I would say I have like, I get the same thing when the player's in your corner and they're right by your bench. That's when I do like all the talking. But usually, like, I'm just like, because usually guys in the corner about to shoot a three, so I'm like, oh, like, nah, he can't shoot, like whatever. For some reason, they always make it every time. So I was kind of like learn my lesson, but it's really weird. But I always have a thought in my head while I'm saying it is like they're just gonna turn around, just like clock me in the face. Like how how do you make sure like that doesn't happen? Because they obviously like hear you. Like how do you make sure that doesn't happen?
Well, I don't think they're gonna turn and punch me, but the same thing has happened to me a lot. Like where we say like hell no or no when it's three, and they always end up turning around and looking at us or sniping us or something like that. But if they do miss, it's worth it because then we can talk even more trash, and then they start to get in their head a little bit about it. That's the best. So yeah, I'm not really worried about the punch because if they punch me, they're gonna get ejected, and I won't. Nothing will happen to me really, besides maybe a little bit of action on my face.
Yeah. And then I guess what's your I feel like you kind of touched on it. I feel like you're almost more of a research trash talk kind of guy. You mentioned like you talk about them if they transfer stuff like that. I feel like you almost do your research in a way. Like is that would you say that's more your style? Or are you more just like you suck, or are you more like yo mama so fat kind of thing? Like what's like your trash talk style?
Uh, it really just depends, but I like to be more clever. Not really. I don't do as much research per se, but in scouting reports, our coaches always are talking about the players. So I start to gain like a little bit of have a little bank in my head of what I wanted to say and things that might be good for them. So it's not that I do research as much as more of like I guess my research is in the film room when we're going over scouting reports and talking about them. And then just in general, I know I've been in the ACC for so long, so I know a lot of these players and I know what they've been through, where they've been. So that helps me out. And really, for me, it just whatever flows off the tongue, it works for me.
Mhm. And this season, you mentioned a lot about you being a walk on or being on the bench, but this year with some of the fortunate circumstances that happened in your team in terms of injuries, all that stuff, you actually got a bigger role this year. What was like adjusting to that and now actually having to play a good amount of minutes?
Yeah, it was very very different. Um, I wasn't really expecting ever to get a chance. Like I told myself, halfway through this season, I was like, "Wow, I might never get a chance to play in like some actual good games." Of course, I'm going to get in at the end of the game, but I thought to myself, maybe I'll never get in like in a real minutes. And then that game, I ended up getting in for like 1 minute of crunch time, like during Wake Forest. We were getting beat pretty bad, but I ended up doing pretty decent. So it was an interesting experience to say the least. My leash was a little pretty kind of short, so it's harder to play as free as I do when I'm playing pickup or anything like that. But my mindset going in there was just to do what I could, try to play my role, and defense is what they pride ourselves on in the program. So I'm more of an offensive guy than defensive guy. So it's a little harder for me to get on the court. So when I'm on there, I focus more about defense. And honestly, the best experience for me was getting a chance to play in Cameron Indoor, one
Hmm.
of Coach K's last games, and I got a chance to play about 7-8 minutes. And even though we ended up losing, that'll be an experience that will be with me the rest of my life. And also the Clemson game when I was able to hit a 3-2, that was a big moment for me, and it was something that I'll remember the rest of my life. And it was an awesome year just to get some experience, even though we didn't end up making the NCAA tournament, which is way more important than me getting some playing time. But it was good to get in.
Yeah. When you do get in, like I feel like that's some things that a lot of high school teams, at least mine, would have sometimes. I wouldn't say not as much this year. We actually had a amazing season, but usually the guys are kind of coming off the bench. They're not really like they might really be into the game, but they're not like engaged in terms of running the plays. They're usually just expecting just to go out there and hoop. Like, how do you have just so much in your because in college plays are probably unbelievable. The amount of stuff like our school, like I think we're like a college ran program. We have defensive plays and we have press breaks and presses and tons and tons of offensive plays and actions and everything. Like I can't imagine a player having to keep that all in their head after a whole game goes by and they're so invested into the game. Like how do you know how do you know everything when you come in?
For me, I've been here for so long, so I know our playbook. It hardly changes. There's just some adjustments year to year, but more than anything, we go over it in practice, and they give us sheets after practice so we can kind of memorize stuff, and then they kind of give us like a little rundown for every specific game on what specific plays that they think we're going to run this game, and our coaches write it up in the scouting report. So I had a chance to look that over and look it over with other players as well. So when I'm in the heat of the battle and I'm not as focused on the plays, I can still remember stuff like that. The hard part for me and for other players is learning multiple positions and knowing plays from multiple positions.
Mhm.
And so that's the hardest part of it all. So I'm used to playing the point guard, but when I went in this year, sometimes our coaches wanted to make sure that we had a solid ball handler and they didn't try to just pressure me too much. So I would play the two, and it would be a little harder to memorize the plays. But being there for so long, it kind of made it a lot easier for me.
Yeah. Would you say going to college, like, because again, you're also a normal student too. Like, that's why I feel like maybe it's harder in high school to memorize all these plays and stuff because high school is a little more of a stricter schedule. But, being in college, like, how did you really find the time? Because you're also doing like, college level schoolwork and everything. Like, how did you find the time to learn all those plays, go to all the practices, then also, do school stuff as well?
Yeah, it's all about time management and working with what you have. So whenever we learn plays, that's the best time when I try to, get into my head right away. We usually put in like maybe 5 to 6 new plays every practice or every, week or so. So once we put them in, I try to memorize them right away, and then they give out sheets to all the players so everyone can, go back and look at it, and I try to go look at it right away. And then we end up running these plays like over and over for that week so we can kind of get it into our brains. So that helped a lot. Other than that, yeah, it's just uh, I don't know. Other learning plays it can be hard, especially for certain people. But as long it's more about repetition than anything, and
Mhm.
managing time is essential when you're a student athlete because you're spending a lot of time at the gym. I usually end up being there from like 2 to 8 or 9 at night every day. So trying to figure out when I need to wake up to get things done and what I need to do late at night sometimes to be on time and be ready for my school stuff.
Yeah. Would you say college, like, do you feel like you had more time in college to do those things, or would you say like it was more easier and you had a little more free time in high school?
For me, I definitely had more free time in college because in high school, I went to like a college preparatory high school, 10th through 12th grade. So I was as soon as practice was over, we had similar workouts to how we are here. As soon as school was over, we were in the gym probably until at least 7 at night, and then once I go home, I would have at least an hour or two of schoolwork. So I had less free time then. I have more free time now because college classes are much more spread out, and you know I'm on my own as well, so I don't have my parents telling me to do certain things. So definitely more free time now.
Yeah. What major are you doing?
Undergrad, I got my regular degree in applied mathematics, and then I got my master's degree in sports management, and I'm getting a coaching certificate this year as well.
So, I mean, I guess I have no idea what applied mathematics is. I'm assuming it doesn't relate to sports management or coaching or anything at all. So how do you kind of come up with? 'Cause that's like almost like the outlier out of the three.
Yeah, well, I really liked math when I was growing up, so I decided I wanted to do that. And initially, I was in the FSU Teach program at FSU, where you are a double major in math and education. And I was gonna try to go into the high school ranks and be a high school basketball coach and high school math teacher. So that's what I was my initial goal was. But after about a couple years in college, I found out that I really wanted to get into college basketball coaching. So I just dropped the double major in education and just finished out my math degree and figured it probably can help me out with some stats and numbers and such. And more than anything, uh, the degree is just there for a degree. Connections are more important than anything in the basketball world.
Mhm. And with that sports management, I guess master's degree obviously is something that I'm kind. Well, I don't know how it works. I think what I would probably do is I think I'm going to do marketing and then the minor in sports management because I feel like marketing's more. I could be broad. I could do sports marketing, let's say, or I could do I don't know marketing like a clothing brand. There's like a lot more avenues with it. So it's more of a safer bet, but also like I love sports and I think I made a few connections. So just trying to keep that up. And that's why I think I'm maybe a little more ahead of the game. So I want to still keep the sports side of things. And then I was planning on getting I guess a master's or honestly I don't know how this whole works, but I wanted to get a law degree because my dream would be to be a sports agent. So That's what I was planning on doing. But also, I know like the sports management program at FSU is insane. I know it was ranked number one either for, I guess, in general or for the master's degree. So, what was that experience like? Getting a master's degree in sports management?
Yeah, it was awesome. I was able to do it all in one year, so I had 3 semesters, 12 hours each semester, and it was really cool because they give you a chance to do an internship with someone. So I worked with our sports media guy for an internship. I also worked with one of our assistant coaches for an internship, and then I took a lot of good classes that gave me insight on recruiting, different things like that. So it was really, really, really good master's program, and we were taught by a really good guy. Dr. Pappas leads it, so he's pretty awesome, and there's just awesome people in the program as well.
Yeah, I'm curious. My one concern with doing like sports management and that stuff is because I used to want to be like I wanted to be like a sports broadcaster or something like that. That's why I do these interviews because still kind of have a passion for it. But when I took TV production at my school, I learned there's a lot more non-fun things about it, and it's just like a risky career. I'm like, you know what? It's not for me. If ESPN reach out to me today and they're like, "Yo, I saw your interview, Justin Linder. Like, let's hire you," I'd say, "Okay, like I'll drop out of school, whatever." But I'm not trying to like chase after an opportunity like that. It's not something that think I really love to do after taking that TV production class. So just say sports management, like, is it fun? Like other sides of it that kind of suck that you might not enjoy, or do you think that like, if you love sports, like it's a pretty good class to take?
Yeah, well, more than anything, I think sports management is beginning to get more like well known all over the world, and in our sports management department, there's so many different opportunities that they set you up with, and that it's more about connections than anything in the sports world. So getting connections here when you're here, and then just having resources put in front of you is what is more important than anything. And they do that a great job of that. And they give you a chance to, internship while you're in the program, so you can start getting connections while you're here. So I really like the sports management department just because they don't really, make you go into one little small area of sport. They give you lots of avenues to go into and lots of different things because you're going to be having to take, marketing classes, recruiting classes, all different types of classes like that. So you see all the different aspects of sport and not just what's happening in the field or anything like that.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, literally just popped right into my head. But what did you live in a dorm your freshman year, or were you living like like in the apartments that all the players live in?
I didn't live with the players. I lived at the same place the players do on a different floor with some of my friends because the dorms ended up getting completely full. So
Okay.
I wasn't able to live in the dorms, but I lived at a place called Onyx where the team lived. But we moved. We the place that we used to live flooded, so now we live at a different places, which is right in College Town, and it's
Yeah.
super nice.
Yeah. All right. I was curious about that because I was going to ask you some dorm questions, but we need to talk about that. But
Well,
I
you can ask me some dorm questions.
yeah.
Which one are you supposed to live in?
Yeah, so I think I put down this is my order, but my number is kind of I heard it's like right in the middle. I got number like 4,350 something like that, and
Yeah.
then mine's worse than my roommate that I'm probably gonna room with. So I guess we're probably gonna be in crap. When did I take this picture? Hold on a second. Let me just go to my text messages really quick. I
Okay.
put my order. I put Azalea number one. That's what I heard. And then I put Magnolia number two. Also, that one's good. Then I did Dorman three, and then Divini 4. Then I put Reagan's as my fifth one, even though I don't think I'm gonna get that one. But if I did, that would be cool because like an apartment.
Yeah.
Then I put Gilchrist as the sixth one because I know it's like more closer to the facility. I feel like they're not like right there, but that one was more on that side. So then I put
Mhm.
one that's kind of close to the facility too to be a little more convenient. So that was my order.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Yeah. As long, I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as you have a somewhat decent roommate and
Yeah.
you guys stay clean, you'll be good. I honestly kind of regret not being in the dorms because I feel like it's a time you get to meet a lot of people and around your age too. So I wanted to be in the dorms because I know Harrison was in the dorms, even though he was in a 3x3, so it wasn't great. But it's an experience and something that I want to I wish I could have experienced, but at the same time, I still had an amazing experience being close to the team as well.
Yeah. Uh, and then now something I wanted to mention. I'm always gonna call it this, no matter if it's good reason, bad reason. I'm always gonna call Tallahassee Tallahassee. Like I was there, I'm like, you know what? Like this is Tallahassee. So that's kind of what I call it. I know it's not I feel like the best place to be, but I guess the campus is almost more of a tight knit kind of thing? Would you say like kind of being in that area of Florida like kind of really brings the team together?
Yeah. Tallahassee, it's a great college town. It also has our capital here, so it's bigger than you would think. But the college town here is definitely can be described as Tallahassee, and it kind of has that reputation because you'll see when you get here. I don't, other than it kind of is a little greasy. So I guess
Yeah,
that's what they call it Tallahassee, but it's definitely amazing, and you'll see something crazy or new every single day. So that's something that you can at least tip your cap to because people are having fun.
yeah. The player I interviewed yesterday, her name's Samara Spencer, and she won Freshman of the Year for the SEC this year for girls basketball. And I asked her a question like, she's at Arkansas. I'm like, do people kind of recognize you? Like, what's like the community like in terms of I guess the normal students and the athletes? Like, would you say a lot of normal students they're like, oh shoot, like that's Justin Linder? Like, are a lot of the normal students interacting with the athletes? Like, how is that? As
Yeah,
environment?
yeah. I'd say especially for the big time recruits that come in, they're well known right away. But myself, just because I've been here for so long, people start to recognize me, and they start to know me. So people say all the time, like I always hear like, "Oh, that's the Green Vipers." Whenever I'm hanging out with me and Harrison and stuff like that, when we're walking out, stuff like that. And Harrison, he's called the Weatherman, so people will always come up to him and be
Yeah,
like, "That's the
yeah.
Weatherman," and stuff like that. And they're like, "Oh, you're Justin," and stuff like that. Yeah, so we get that, especially because we've been here for so long, so people kind of recognize us. But definitely, people on campus, they show love to the basketball team, and they recognize people on the team.
Yeah. Would you say in terms of like, students and athletes like interacting? Like, I know when I was talking to a girl that was at Arkansas, she was like, they just have some center called like the Jones Center, and that's where she'll study sometimes and eat and everything. That's almost where all the athletes are. The students kind of do their own thing. Would you say it's more of like a community between like students and athletes and everything like that, or do you guys try to stay a little separate?
I mean, we try to be in the community as well, but we also don't want to get too into it because then it starts to get where you're worried about the wrong things.
Hmm.
So we try to stay close knit and with our team by ourselves, but at the same time, we want to be invested in the community. We want to have a place and see the other athletes. We have a place similar to what you were talking about called
Yeah,
the
yeah. I actually went there. I have posters because I have to check my athletic director went to UF and he has a bunch of UF posters. And I'm like, yeah, because I visited like UF and FSU almost back to back. He's like, go to UF and like go here, get me posters. I'm like, let me go to FSU and get him those and trick him first. So I
Mhm.
have those right beside my desk actually. But I was able to check that out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we have a similar place too called the Moore, where athletes can go for schoolwork, but also they have a dining hall there, and they have a nutrition place and a training room as well for athletes, to get treatment, stuff like that.
Mhm. Now I know I said two more things. Now it's actually I guess kind of two more topics. One, somebody want to know. I put this in the bottom line. You guys won the 2020. I know ACC regular season and I think ACC championship as well. I don't know if you died. I forgot what happened with Corona and everything, but I know when I was talking to Ryan, the manager. He was like, "Yeah, this was probably like the best day of my life." I mean, what was that like? You guys became ACC champs.
It was a unreal day, honestly. Um, I personally lost the state championship, so I wanted to get some type of championship really badly. So and that team was just so crazy. We ended up ranked number 4 in the nation after the season got canceled. I thought we had a really good chance to get to the Final Four and win a national championship. We had the build of a team that we really 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 liked, and they fit our system so perfect. So it was a frustrating year. So that was one of the bright spots. That and then the game right before that, we played Louisville at home, where Trent Forrest baptized Jordan Nwora. Those were two of some of my greatest moments at the Tuck, especially getting up on that ladder and cutting the net down, holding it up. That was some of the greatest moments, and having my family there with me as well. So some of the moments that I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
Hmm. And then I guess continuing on, is trying to touch on, I guess a couple more things. So looking to the future is kind of like to end the interviews on a more of like optimistic, positive, futuristic kind of note. you mentioned, because I wrote this down before, because I'm like, I'm curious what he wants to do, and then you're like, oh, I want to be a coach, all that stuff. Do you have it all, like, any idea? Because now, I mean, I guess you're in the off season. I'm assuming like you can't come back to play again next year. So, I mean, what are you trying to really work on that right now? Are you reaching out to different schools? Are you gonna try to even be a GA at FSU? Like, what are you trying to do to, accomplish that goal right now?
Yeah, so I've been at FSU too long. I don't want to be a GA here anymore. I've been looking at several opportunities. I actually went down to New Orleans for the Final Four because it's one of the biggest coaching conventions down there.
I was there too.
Yeah, so I went down there and I got a chance to be like an exhibitor. So like when the like different Division One coaches would have talks on courts, and then all the other coaches would watch and take notes, and I was the
Mhm.
person that was like showing different people what to do and stuff like that. So I got the chance to do that, and I got the chance to meet lots of coaches and get some good intel and connects. So I got a lot of numbers there, and I've been in contact with several JUCO schools and Division twos, and then also I'm looking at becoming a graduate assistant at another Division One program as well. So just in the process of that, I've only been offered one junior college position like a couple weeks ago, but someone else ended up taking it because I wasn't ready to take it yet because I'm still looking at my other options. So that's out the window now, but still trying to look at becoming a JUCO, junior college assistant or a graduate assistant at a higher program if I can. Not a higher, but like just a different Division One program, so I get a chance to see what a different Division One program is like.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I feel like once you're kind of D1, I feel like it's gonna be kind of hard to kind of like how you mentioned it's hard going from like a star in high school or a big player in high school to having to be a walk on in college. Like, I think it might be kind of hard, going from being, at a Division 1 facility, being part of Division 1 team, and all that stuff, to then having to go to JUCO where it's kind of like the mud of college basketball. So why is it something I guess you're okay with doing? Because I feel like you start down there, it's like it's gonna be a long process to probably where you want to be.
Yeah, more than anything in the coaching world, you're trying to get experience. And when I'm in at JUCO, I'm going to be on the road. I'm going to be recruiting. I'm going to have the chance to do my own scouting reports, and the coaches are going to give me a lot of responsibility and power. So with that comes I can learn a lot, and hopefully the goal would be within 2 to 3 years to try to get enough experience and enough wins at my JUCO to springboard myself into another maybe director of basketball operations job, video coordinator, maybe a lower assistant at a Division One. Hopefully within 3 to 6 years or so. So that would be the ultimate goal if I go to a JUCO.
And I don't want to like scare you, and I'm sure you know this, but obviously, I guess to get to where I'm assuming you want to be, like it's a dream. I'm assuming be like a head coach, like kind of like Leonard Hamilton, and just settle down somewhere. Seems like it's going to be a really, really long journey. Why is it something that you really want to take instead of going with a more like? It's like I think you kind of have the connections to make it eventually, but I think it's going to take like such a long time. Like, why do you think that's something you really want to do?
When I'm at on the basketball court, when I'm working with athletes and making relationships, to me it's not even like a real job. So that's why I've always loved basketball and loved being around it and wanted to be a coach, is because it's not like I'm sitting at a desk and doing a day job. I'm interacting with athletes. I'm working out people. I'm around the game that I've loved since a young age and the game that my dad has taught me to love since I was young. So it's just not even like a job for me. So that's why I'm all right with the grind, and I'm all right with the longevity, because I've seen our coaches had to go through the same thing I did, and all these different coaches all over the world. And um, it's something that is very rewarding. The process is rewarding, especially if it takes a little longer. It's rewarding at the end of the road.
So, what would be, I guess, the dream for you? I'm more just trying to almost. I guess I'm assuming it's kind of bad if you end up getting like let go at a bunch of schools and having to travel around everywhere, or just get a bunch of opportunities. Like, I guess the way it's a bad thing, but are you trying to just kind of move around? The dream be to move around to a bunch of Division 1 programs and be an assistant coach there, or head coach there? Or are you trying to really just the dream would be to settle down at one school and just be like a complete like legend at that one place?
I mean, first off, in my career, I want to move around to a couple different Division Ones and be an assistant before I become a head coach, because I want to see how many different programs work. Because I've been at FSU for so long. That's my biggest reason why I want to get out of here, is because I want to see how a different program runs.
Mhm.
I fully understand how this program runs, and I think it runs well. But I want to see other programs and how they run and how they're able to set themselves apart. So that's why I really want to. So ultimate goal is to be bounce around at a couple Division ones, and especially under some staffs that I am familiar with. And then ultimately, I want to try to settle down at one or two Power Five school Division One head coach. And when I'm a Division One head coach, I want to try to. I don't want to be there for a couple years and leave or anything like that. I would like to solidify myself and kind of stay there for at least 10, 15, 20 years, and kind of get a program going where I can recruit to this program, and I can be a contender every year.
Yeah, you mentioned the FSU program. You bring up recruiting, all that stuff. I feel like being a part of the FSU program is something just super special. Like they don't look for we're going to offer every 5-star. Like they're offering a very specific type of player that could really fit into the culture. Because I know it's just like nothing else. So describe to some people like what that FSU culture is like and almost why not like I guess I wouldn't say unfortunately, but it's not everyone's built and ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, our culture is unlike any other. Our coaches don't they're not into like any of that business where they're paying players or anything like that. They're not into the business where they're promising players playing time when they come in. Everything is earned in the program, so that's something that's really, really, really cool. And our coaches, that they're they have a lot of experience, so they know what they're doing, and it's interesting to see how it's run. But could you tell me what the question was one more time? I kind of lost my train of
Uh,
thought.
no, 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 no. I think you answered. I was kind of asked like what the culture was like and what you said, and then I was like, how come? I guess a lot of players. I guess because again, not every player I feel like could handle the FSU culture. So kind of why not every player could
Yeah.
really handle.
So another thing I would add to that is like players after they realize when they're coming in that they probably might not get to start. They might not get all the minutes they want, but when we have 10 to 12 guys playing, it's going to be hard to beat a team if we have 10 to 12 players that are very strong. So it kind of speaks for ourselves, the culture of our program. We've had 4 straight people that have been six man of the year in our league. So we had
Mhm.
Fiondu Kabengele, we had Matthew Cleveland, Scotty Barnes, Patrick Williams. Those are big time NBA players now, or will soon to be, if not Matthew Cleveland. But
Yep.
so having that on your record kind of shows and lets people know before they even get here they might not start, but they're still going to have a big role, and everyone's important on our team.
Yeah. This will be I guess kind of an easy question. I guess it can almost be like a yes or no question, but like how good do you think FSU is going to be doing next year?
I think they're being really good. I think they're getting the right recruits this year, and especially coming back off this injury year, I think they got a lot of energy and pride in not getting to the tournament last year. So they're definitely going to turn things around, and I'm hoping for a deep run and a Final Four run.
Mhm. And my final question for you is kind of what I like to have every interview with. So once you step away from the game of basketball, whether that's tomorrow, whether that's 30 years from now or 50 years from now, when you're done with a great coaching career, just what do you want your legacy on the game to be like?
Uh, more than anything, I just want to be able to help people and build relationships that last a lifetime. The relationships that I built at FSU, I cherish them more than some of the relationships I built since I was a young man. I mean, in high school, my high school relationships are not even as strong as some of the relationships I built here. And as a coach, I want to be able to connect with all my players, and not have some of the relationships that some coaches like in the past have players where they don't care if they graduate. They don't really care about them off the court. They're only caring about themselves and their winning and their record. For me, I want my players to do good on and off the court, and I want to build relationships that last for the rest of their lives. So that's what I want my legacy to be.
Mm-hmm. And then this is a tradition I have now at the end of my interviews. I took this from Duncan Robinson's podcast, where basically we each got to summarize the interview in one word and kind of explain why. And I'm trying to do different. I've been thinking about this whole time. I think I came up with a word I haven't said before. So I guess I'll just go first. You go second. So I think the word that I'm gonna go with authentic. I think because I feel like you didn't really sugarcoat anything. I guess you could say you weren't like, oh, being a walk-on is all glamorous, but also, did kind of touch on how, even if some people think it's bad, that's almost like the not authentic side of it. Like it actually is, pretty good experience and everything. So I think my word would be authentic.
All right. That's a tough one. You should have told me at the beginning so I could
Yeah,
start
yeah,
thinking.
yeah. I know. I always thought about that, but I'm like, it's kind of cool to put them on the
Yeah,
spot.
it kind of makes you think and put them on the spot a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. It's hard. Authentic was a really good one. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna have to say, I don't know. The thing that keeps it's quite simple, but it keeps popping in my head is just I feel like it was just really real, a real interview. Like both sides, both me and you, I feel like we're real with each other, and we have been since we met each other. So I feel like that's the word I'll use, real.
Yeah, definitely, definitely a good word. I feel like it has some relations to authentic. So I guess we kind of got the same vibe of from it. I think that's pretty good. But anyways, man, just make sure you guys give us both a follow on Instagram. His is at Justin Linder 101, and mine's at iHoopsFL. And anyways, I don't know. I feel like I don't know how to call you because technically the season's over. But I guess I'll call for Florida State University guard Justin Linder. I'm Isaac Fleischer, and this has been another iHoopsFL interview. Peace out, guys.